Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and you wouldn't believe our delight at the opportunity to imprison and rally Saz. He is a player in 5.5.6 who we're battling against in this KVK. He's off territory. He just had war frenzy, and so we imprisoned him and set a rally. Now, that rally that we're using here is XY with Nevsky. That is the rally you want to use to take out a high power city like this. At the beginning of this fight, he starts at about 170 million power, and he is going to lose, I believe it was in the realm of 20 million power or so over the course of this rally. Now, some of that he can actually train back, but I think he'll be down around 150 by the time this rally is over. Now, I've got the reports, which will pop up on screen at the end of this rally. I do want to talk for a moment about the Jadwiga with YSS combo that he's using. Now, unlike when I got rallied and I used this combo, the advantage that he has here is that YSS does 20% more damage when you get below 50%. And also, the other thing that's really important is he is using a Belisarius support skill, which means that he's going to start doing 25% more damage when the rally gets below 50% remaining troops, which happens actually pretty quickly in the grand scheme of things. But the longer the fight runs, the more of the report will actually benefit from that large amount of damage. Also, he is pretty reinforceable from this position from the enemy, although I don't know how much they end up reinforcing him. They do try to swarm the rally here, which is a solid choice, but we reinforce through it and carry on. That said, those debuffs do cause the rally to take some more damage from the city, and you can see the skill damage on both sides is now ramped up a lot. That is that all damage that I was talking about really kicking into gear. Now, I don't think that Jad YSS is really the best combo to defend a city, but I know that this particular player is very focused on cavalry, so we'll get a look at the composition of their troops in their city and see kind of what we think of that as well. Also, I have pictures of the rally leads equipment, and there are 2 rallies that are going to take place here, as you saw in the sort of teaser at the start. I'll show that second rally in just a little bit. But we're getting toward the end of this first imprison, and thankfully, we're also getting to the end of the troops in his city. Now, one thing that we talked about on voice is that, like, hey, nobody swarm the city, period. Even if you think it's low, don't do it. Because what inevitably ends up happening is that people swarm. More people swarm than actually there's space to have hit the city. There's room for 12 people to hit the city at a time. And then after the city burns, the people that were hitting it go home. They automatically retreat. But the people who had targeted it but hadn't hit it yet all of a sudden start hitting a 150 million power city and are swarming it and get obliterated. And in a worst case, your team starts eating boats, which is really, really bad for, active skill cycles to hit the people that ultimately swarm. So as I mentioned, he dropped down from around 170 some million power down to 153 million power, but a second imprison was then put on his city. Okay, so second imprison's pretty cool. I switched devices and we have another rally set at this point. Now, going into this, we had a sense that probably his war frenzy will wear off in the middle of this, but we run the rally anyways. And before people are like, oh, allies, blah, blah, blah. I thought this was free-for-all KVK. Everybody has been double imprisoning everybody because it's just savage. There's like nothing weird about that. By the way, first rally report, 1.5 million dead, 1.579 for the rally, and about 1.2 or so for the city. So he lost about 12 million power. Pretty sure that's almost entirely T5s. Oh, and here's the second rally. Now, he healed his hospital. He jumped back up to about 160 million power. And the fun begins all over again, which is actually just insane. The skill damage is going to ramp up here. This is also XY with Nevsky. And the XY, every time he does an active skill cycle, does 5% more all damage for cavalry anyways. And so that cav damage is going to stack up to be about 30% very soon, and is going to be very difficult to deal with. So we see that starting to happen. Also, both the city and the rally are going to drop below 50%, which means those Belisarius skills are going to kick into play, and that's actually pretty savage too. I'm pretty sure that at least one of these rallies is going to end up using the Chandragupta support skill, which is really good. 20% health And the exhaustion debuff, removing defense and health and targets, really nasty, considering that all troop types are represented and you just get a lot of value debuffing all those different troop types. However, you can see there's a marker here. Don't swarm the city. Just in case the guidance wasn't clear. Don't swarm the city. A lot of scouts actually hitting his city. I'm not entirely sure why. And there's the bubble. So if he'd had troops in his city and maybe he wasn't going to figure out that he had them there, then he wouldn't have been able to bubble. You can't peace shield if other players' troops are in your city. And he's down to 154 million power, which means, sadly, he killed a lot of our troops, and all we did was work on his hospital. 745,000 dead for us, and 680,000 in his hospital. Here we're using the belly support skill in Saladin. You can see the stats on the screen for the rally and the garrison. I still feel like, in the grand scheme of things, using the YSS primary with those talents and mixed equipment might be better. Here's a troop composition in his city, by the way. He does have more calves, but he still has 3 million archers and 2.2 million infantry and about 1 million siege units. So he's got actually a lot of other troop types represented here. The cav is, however, his special unit, for whatever that's worth. The special unit is going to have a little bit of extra stats to sort of help carry there. But let's get a look at the equipment on the rallies that were launched. It really doesn't get much better than this. We've got 4 pieces of the cav set talented. That is the weapon, the helmet, the chest, and the boots. Also Ash and Navarre's. That's the legs and the gloves. We've got a dagger, which I think is a fine choice. And then horn. I think in a perfect world, I like ring and horn, but dagger and horn is also very strong. And then this is Butta's rally over here. We've got actually the same set of gear that I use. You've got sword and KVK helmet, and then the 2-piece bonus from boots and chest, and then also legs and gloves are Ash and Navarre's. It's just all in on health. It's the consensus is the way to go. Not to say that there isn't value in having attack. In fact, in this instance, attack is really valuable because it makes you churn through the city even faster. And time is very important when you are imprisoning somebody and you're having War Frenzy kind of wear off sooner than later. You want to do as much damage as you can, as fast as you possibly can. And lastly, procced ring. Friggin' badass, man. Procced cav ring and also horn. The horn is very crucial on the XY combos because you can get the skill cycles to fire off very, very, very quickly. And the faster your skill cycle is, the better it is to get more rage, even if sometimes you overrage, because the percent damage boost you get is actually going up by virtue of those faster and faster skill cycles. For those of you wondering, very briefly, I'll touch on how our KVK is going. Those rallies that you saw took place right around here-ish. And right now, we have a bit of a weird situation. 365 was pretty far away from our position over here. But it seems like, and I have video demonstrating this happening, so I don't know why I'm saying it seems like, but it looks like 556, one at a time, was deleting flags to allow 365 to clear a path through this area. And so rather than having to actually burn their way through to come and fight us, they were given a paved pathway right up to where we are. So that's what we're dealing with now, is both 556 fully fighting us and not fighting 365, and 365 now fully fighting us. And it's definitely a tricky situation. And I promised Ruz that's all I would say about that. So I'm just going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. It's been a really crazy KVK. I don't know that it's quite done yet, but it might be pretty soon. So until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.